Welcome back to the STIHL workshop, where I, Matt, am again joined by the oracle for all things STIHL products, Paul from STIHL Product Management. And today we're going to take a look into the wonderful world of STIHL lawnmowers. You want to know more about their quality and unique selling points? Then you're in the right place. As are you, Paul. Thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you, Matt. I'm looking forward to talking about our lawnmowers for professional users.
Indeed. We've got one beauty right behind us here, and that's not the kind of device that just does one thing. It does several things at once, right?
Yeah, of course. Our professional lawnmower range are designed to have a really long working life, have really high performance, and this one in particular can do a lot of functions. So it's got 4-in-1 mowing.
Okay.
That's cut and collect, cut and drop, mulch and side discharge.
I like it.
So let's have a little look at those.
Let's do exactly that.
So first of all, as the mower is now, we can cut and collect into the 80-litre grass catcher bag. The grass is just ejected out the rear chute and fills the grass bag right to the brim every time. So
very nice.
It's really
that's particularly nice because it's never fun when it only half fills it and then you've got to change it again, right? So it fills right up to the top.
Exactly, and that's more efficient. If you're mowing a customer's lawn or a large area, you want to be efficient with your time and fill the bag right to the brim.
Yeah.
So you can do that. We then have cut and drop. So without the grass catcher bag on there, the grass clippings are just ejected out of the rear chute and spread evenly over the lawn once they're cut. So this little deflector flap on the back is shaped to allow enough airflow and enough space for the grass to get out of the mowing deck, but to be distributed really nice and evenly so it doesn't leave a bad finish or a big pile on the lawn.
And it doesn't clog at the back there, it drops down neatly onto the floor.
Yeah, it's designed to have enough airflow to get everything out.
Very nice.
For a good finish.
2 out of 4.
We then have mulching. So with this mulch plug here, I can just seal off the grass deck, and then that keeps all the clippings in the grass deck. As the blade spins round, the grass should be cut around 2 or 3 times down to a really fine clipping. Drop it onto the lawn as a really rich, nitrogen-rich and free fertilizer.
Healthy for the lawn, and that comes delivered with the mower, right?
Yep, of course.
Yep.
And then something else we have delivered with the mower as well is a little side discharge flap. Mm-hmm. So if I lift this up here, I can just hook in this side discharge flap. So if you are mowing a rather overgrown lawn and you don't have a facility to dump all your clippings, you can just distribute them over the lawn, and it leaves them in a targeted way on the lawn. So you're not putting it all over paths or blowing it everywhere. Right. It leaves it just to the side of the machine.
Okay, fascinating. The devices can do 4-in-1. That's a positive thing. But if I can ask a challenging, critical question, how do you ensure that a machine can really deliver those 4 functions at a high quality, all in one?
Well, it all comes down to design and development. We've got a testing and design centre in STIHL in Austria that make all our equipment and design and test all our equipment too. So with 4-in-1 mowing, you've got to have a really good airflow through the grass deck, out the back of the mower, and also a flow optimised blade. So we've got a team in STIHL that spend a lot of time focusing on designing those blades and testing them too. So we've got a small video here from our colleague Clara.
Yeah.
And if we take a look at that now, we shall explain it all.
Beautiful.
I'm Clara Wohnlich. I've been working at STIHL for 6 years. I work in the measurement technology and simulation group. I simulate the movement of the blades of grass, as you can see here in the picture. This is the speed and direction of the grass as it travels into the grass catcher. We can use this to predict the grass collection behaviour of our lawnmowers. We simulate different geometries and blades, and so we can find the optimum blade housing combination, which is then used for testing.
I mean, fascinating stuff, and quite frankly, typical STIHL that you would have a whole department just for testing lawnmowers. Incredible.
Yeah, it's that focus that really counts.
Okay, so that gives us an overview of the range. What about specific products then?
Well, we have 3 new products in the range in the RMA 7 series. First, we've got the 756V, which is a 56 centimetre deck size.
Okay.
But the blade's 2 centimetres smaller, so that's a 54 centimetre cutting width. We also have the RMA 750V, which is a 50 centimetre deck size with a 48 centimetre cutting width as well.
Okay, so only a couple of centimetres shorter.
But that allows it to be a smaller unit, so if you want to be more manoeuvrable around perhaps a graveyard or in a park where there's curves and flower beds or something that you need to manoeuvre easily around, it's nicer to have a smaller machine that's slightly lighter weight as well, so it allows for that.
Makes total sense, yeah.
And then we have the RMA 7RV, which is a dedicated mulching and side discharge machine only. So no cut and collect, no cut and drop. It's just dedicated to mulching and side discharge. And that has a 51 centimetre cutting width as well.
Okay, thanks for the overview, Paul. That gives us an idea of what we've got, but maybe a question that would interest you watching at home as well would be performance, particularly when we compare these battery-powered devices to the petrol-powered cousins.
Well, these absolutely have comparable performance to their 7 Series professional petrol equivalents. So there's no loss of power. They really offer professional standards when it comes to performance and power.
Okay.
So with these RMA 7 Series, we've actually combined 2 AP500S batteries, which is our most powerful battery, and together they can deliver 3 kilowatts mechanical power in these machines, and they even have a power boost function. So if you're going through a really, really thick tuft of grass, it can auto boost and give you that extra cutting power from the batteries for a short period of time if you need it. So,
and it senses that automatically that power is needed?
Yeah, it does it all for you. So it does it automatically, and you can just focus on the mowing and the job at hand.
Okay, how big can the job at hand be? How long can I go then with such a device with 2 batteries in it?
Well, we prefer to focus more on area coverage rather than how long it will last, because there's so many variables there. How fast you're walking and going with the mower, and also the length of grass, the type of grass, how thick and lush it is, and maybe some of the weather conditions, whether it's wet or not as well. So we prefer to focus on area coverage. With 2 AP500S batteries, we say the RMA 756V can do about 750 square metres. That's the equivalent to around 3 doubles tennis courts. So it's a reasonably sized area.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And what are you hearing from the pros when they're using these devices? What kind of experience are they giving us?
Well, so far we're hearing really, really good feedback that it's got enough power in those batteries to last long enough to get the job done.
Well, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth, and let's hear from a pro.
My name is Siegfried Eschelbuck. I work for the City Administration of Kufstein as the head of the Municipal Gardening Department. We use lawn mowers for all green spaces, including kindergartens, schools and roundabouts. In Kufstein we have 12 roundabouts that need to be mowed. We are constantly in action. Battery-powered lawn mowers offer special advantages. We always have batteries and spare batteries with us, so refueling is no longer an issue for us. By now, we have switched 95% of our equipment to battery-powered devices.
Okay, good job, Siegfried. Thank you very much for that interesting point he mentions at the end there, and that is, of course, the comparison between gasoline and battery-powered mowers. What kind of investment are we talking about, and when does it start to amortise?
Well, of course, if you're looking at battery-powered machines, you have got the cost of multiple batteries. We'd recommend 4 batteries to start off with in this case. Right. Plus the cost of 2 chargers and the machine itself. So there is a larger initial outlay, but you have to think of the total cost over the lifetime of the machine. Right. So if I take one of these AP500S batteries, you've got to work out how much energy you'd be using when you use it for the job. So you need to... And then compare it against the gas costs, right? Precisely that. Okay. So in the case of this battery, this has got 337 watt hours. The watt hours are shown on all the batteries. You can divide that by 1,000, then multiply it by the energy rate you pay for electricity per kilowatt. Right. So you can work out for the jobs you do how many batteries you'd need using the area coverage I spoke about earlier, and then compare that to how much petrol you're currently using. So we generally find that with an RMA 756, around after 2,200 hours of use for the battery machine versus the petrol machine and the cost of that machine and petrol over its life, you're about €1,000 better off after 2,200 hours. So after a certain amount of time working with the device, it starts to make financial sense. Yeah, it does. The bigger initial outlay, but pays off in the end.
As you can see, we've changed things around a little bit here so that we have a bit more space for Paul to work his magic. We want to talk about usability. So I'll start off with the first question regarding this single arm here, right? I've also seen them with two, but this one only has one.
Yeah, of course. On the STIHL machines, we have our mono comfort handlebar, which is really sturdy and attached to the mower in a place that makes it really easy to tilt at the end of lawn and turn round. So
ergonomic.
Makes for simple handling for the mower. Mm-hmm. Also, with two handlebars or two bars, typically it'd be difficult to access the grass catcher box and remove it. So that makes it really, really simple to remove and replace the grass catcher box.
You've got access from that side, haven't you?
And you do it so many times when you're mowing a lawn. It's just making that easier rather than having to dive in underneath a handlebar that would obstruct it a little bit.
I like it.
So very simple to remove. It's also height adjustable. So you've got 3 height settings, so taller for taller users, and then you can lower that down slightly lower and lower again for someone who's slightly smaller.
Yeah, I think that's a bit low for me. Maybe the middle one would be for me. There we go. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Very nice.
And then we can fold the bar over as well for space-saving storage. That clicks in place so it's all secure as well.
That would be for storage or maybe for lifting onto a flatbed truck or something like that?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then if I wanted to tilt it over, I can put that up in its maintenance position now. So if I wanted to clean the deck or inspect it for any damage or anything like that, I can get access to the underside of the machine really easily, and that's securely placed on the floor.
I was going to say it's sturdy, but you've got access then, right?
Precisely that.
Very nice. In this position then, I see the display and the controls and stuff. Tell us about that.
Well, let's take a little look. I'll put the machine back down on the floor. If you get a couple of batteries, we'll take a look at the display.
Yep. 2 batteries. Spin it around. Right. 1 and 2. Okay.
Okay, so first of all, we've got large buttons that can be pressed easily with gloves on. So we've got the on button here. You've got 3 different modes for cutting. So in eco mode, the blade speed will automatically drop below its standard 3000 RPM. So if you're not cutting a lot and the blade doesn't need to be spinning at 3000 RPM, the machine automatically detects that and drops the blade speed to conserve a bit of battery life. Then we've got our standard 3000 RPM, so it won't drop, it just keeps it in that blade speed.
Standard, yeah.
And then we've got our power boost mode. So if you're going through a particularly tough lawn, that can call up on a little bit of extra power from the batteries for a short period of time to really get through the thick tufts of grass that you may come across on a lawn. So you've got those 3 modes you can easily adjust there.
And that power boost mode, that the machine senses itself when it might need that and just kicks it in.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to focus on going in a straight line. The machine adjusts the blade speed in those eco modes or power boost modes automatically for you.
Very nice.
We've then got the battery display indicator.
Yep.
Always nice to know how much battery life you've got left in there. And then up here we've got the tortoise and the hare for the speed of the mower. So obviously in one light we've got the tortoise. I can increase that up to 6 kilometers an hour by pressing the hare there. So that'll be at full speed. But it's also adjustable via the levers. So I've got my dead man's handle on the back, and then on the front I can pull this to make the mower drive. If I just lift the wheels off the ground very slightly, I can vary the speed.
You've got complete control, haven't you? It's not abrupt, it's not on and off, it's kind of a sliding scale.
Yeah, as you start the lawn, you don't want to be wheel spinning or leaving divots in the customer's lawn or in a park. It's a nice gradual build to speed as well, and I can vary that speed. So even if I'm in the fastest speed, I can vary the speed of the mower with my fingers. So if I'm going around an intricate lawn area or just want to go a little bit slower, if there's an obstacle around, I can vary that with my hands as well.
Yeah, and you've got that control better with fingers than you do with thumbs, right? Which can sometimes be a little bit fiddly. So you've got a real good touch.
Yeah, precisely. The lever's in the right place, focusing on being able to do the best job you can possible when mowing.
I like it. And this last bit here is Bluetooth, right?
Yeah, so that is our STIHL connected. So that connects the mower to the STIHL connected app on your phone or STIHL connected box. That's our smart fleet management system. So it actually measures how long the mower has been working for and then gives you a service or maintenance schedule based on those working hours. So perhaps it would give you a certain amount of tasks that are due after a certain amount of hours, so you can then go and either book it in at your dealer or get it done yourself. So it's a really, really clever system that monitors the working hours for you, so you can focus on the task that is mowing, and then it gives you all the maintenance schedules in a nice, easy place to look it up and keep on top of it all.
So then we come to a favourite STIHL subject, and that is quality, of course. And you have your infamous STIHL tests to ensure quality. Let's start with something we've already talked about, this single arm, right? You have a test to test the durability of that arm, right?
We do indeed. That's simulating real-life use on the monocomfort handlebar over and over again, making sure it's robust and up to the job. So it's just moving that handlebar up and down and also sideways as well to make sure it can stand the test of time.
Excellent. And then to sort of test the durability and the longevity of them, these tests are wonderful. What's going on here?
Well, this is a lifetime test, so these mowers are going round and round and round, day and night, to get to the full working hours of a machine of its entire lifetime. Not just going round on a flat surface here either, there are obstacles in there as well to simulate going over different surfaces as well. But it's just making sure with the blade running and the motor driving the wheels that it just lasts as intended for its entire mowing life, just going round and round and round.
So in a matter of days, I can see what kind of what kind of effects would happen to this machine over years, right?
Exactly that. So, and if there are any points of failure during testing and development, we can rectify that. So we launch a product without any failures, and it's in its working life.
And they don't actually go that fast, right? That shot's been sped up, hasn't it? Okay.
Of course.
And then this test in the laboratory, what's going on here?
Well, this is simulating using the levers, the dead man's handle and the accelerator there to make sure the switches work, but also to make sure that the machine on the rolling road there is going over multiple surfaces, bumpy surfaces, and making sure all those vibrations and all those shocks don't disrupt the mower, it keeps on doing its job. So it's going through a rigorous test there, making sure that everything works as intended. And
permanent measurements are being taken then from that, right?
Of course.
Got it. Okay. And then the final test, you wanted to show me about the blade. When you stood it up earlier, we saw the blade at the bottom, and there's a particularly interesting piece of technology here, right?
Yeah, so this blade actually has a predefined bending zone in the blade. So as you're mowing, if you come across a tree stump or a rock or something that you can't see because the grass is too high, you don't want any damage occurring to the motor of the machine. It's best that the blade bends because it's cheap and easy to change a blade rather than changing the motor. So you've got a predefined bending zone here, and the test we'll see in a moment, you'll see a rod come up from the ground into the blade, and let's take a little look and see what happens.
Okay. So they've cut a piece out of that particular lawnmower just so that we can see what's going on, right?
Yes.
And then that pin, that rod comes out of the ground, and this is super slow motion, right?
Yep, it is indeed. So it's just about to hit the blade here, and then you can see in that exact point the blade bent where it was intended to bend. You can actually see the blade itself here. So it struck the rod just here.
Yeah.
Bent across this predefined bending zone, and as you can see, it's still nice and flat and stable in the place connected to the motor of the machine. So you're not having to replace the motor, a simple blade change with one bolt, and you can get back mowing again.
As opposed to if it didn't have that zone, potentially the whole mechanism could get disrupted, right?
Well, yeah, you could cause a huge amounts of damage to your machine, and we've had this technology in our machines, both on petrol and on battery as well, for a number of years. So it's a really key thing to help keep the user mowing as long as possible and not having to replace any engines or motors in the case of battery tools.
I like it. Very, very clever. Love the tests in particular, but it's always about the combination of the results from the tests and then the feedback from the professionals in the field, right?
Oh, of course. We can do all the laboratory tests, but we also send lots of units out to key people in the market so they can test and feedback on how they actually get on cutting grass. As we can only simulate certain things in a laboratory, but we've got to actually take both parts of feedback together and make the machines as best as they can possibly be.
And we've moved everything around one final time so that we can get the lawnmower into the service position so that Paul can tell us just about that, service and support. What's good to know about that?
Well, first of all, when we start developing a lawnmower, we always think about what's it going to need serviced in its future life. So we make things really, really easy to replace, should components need to be replaced, and make sure there's some nice little touches to make that happen really, really quickly.
For example?
So we've got some side bumpers here, some steel side bumpers to make sure that the deck's protected. But when you need to replace them, it's just 3 Torx bits, which also have a hexagonal drive on them as well. So if a Torx bit is filled up with dirt, you can still get them off really, really easily. And that's the same for the polymer hybrid housing we've got inside the deck. Of course, there's lots of dirt and debris that goes around the mowing deck, so we've got a polymer insert to protect the alloy deck. So when the polymer wears down, you can simply undo the hexagonal screws there and take the polymer deck out and replace that, so it stops the damage happening to your alloy deck and you can get on and mow.
So again, the general principle here is to try and make it as simple as possible to replace one thing as opposed to lots of things.
Yeah, exactly, and save cost of a new deck if you can just replace a polymer insert a couple of times through the mower's life.
Makes sense.
We've also got 1 bolt to change the blade.
Easy.
It's really, really simple. And then when it comes to wear on your tyres, on your car, you don't expect to change the whole wheel when the tyre wears out. So you can just replace the tyres on these ones very simply and easily too.
I like it very much. And if anybody has any questions, there's the world famous STIHL network, right?
Yeah, our STIHL approved dealer network are substantial in size all across the world. So they can offer all the service, support and spare parts as well. So we've got an enviable size of spare parts available for people to order from their dealers and get the dealers to fit them as well. So the support is certainly there.
And your support was here as well. Thank you so much, Paul. I learned a great deal. I always do. Many thanks, mate.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you. Thanks for stopping by. We hope that you picked up some new tips and tricks about the STIHL lawnmower range. What was your favourite functionality? Let us know in the comments down below. And of course, as ever, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so that you can know when the next STIHL Focus On video is out. But until then, I'd say from all of us here in the workshop, thanks for stopping by. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.